So yeah, that intro really isn't clickbait. I did nearly die. But before I talk to you about that, I need to show you some of my day. So let's get cracking. Morning. It's Wednesday morning. I've just dropped Charlotte off at school. I've got a call to do at Shrewsbury High School and then one to do in Wolverhampton. There's something that I want to talk to you guys about today that happened to me when I was 18 years old. So once I get settled down and into work and that, I'll start explaining the story. So first call done. Like I say, it was just some paper ripped in the inverter. So just removed the paper, tested the machine, gave it a good run. Obviously it was in a Rupert Graphics room in a school, so they tend to do a lot of photocopying. So now I've got a call at a place in Wolverhampton, but I've got to try and arrange access to sites. That might take a while, and just found out that the system's down, so could make for a very long day today. So yeah, I want to talk to you about what happened to me when I was 18 years old. Basically, I almost died, so I'm going to throw a picture of my injury and then I'll explain to you and tell you the story about what happened on that day back in June 13 years ago. So yeah, I want to talk to you about the accident I had when I was 18 that nearly killed me. So yeah. Ooh. So yeah, 18 years old. You've seen the photo, that's obviously my arm. I was 18 years old. I was away. First holiday. First holiday without my parents. So kind of a big deal for me. This was June the 20th. 13 years ago. So went to Tenerife. I actually think that's going to be a bit too high like that, so we will rearrange this again. So yeah, 13 years ago I went to Tenerife with 6 friends. Laura Daly, Matt Crane, David Lamb, Elaine Bonney and Hayley Funge. Went to Place das Americas, 1830 holiday. Been there 3 days before the accident took place. So we're talking sort of the 22nd of June. Now the photo that I put on just was a photo that was taken 10 days after the accident when I was having the dressing changed. So basically all that's surgery scars and so on. The actual injury itself, I basically slipped over on a wet floor, and instead of falling backwards over the balcony over the balcony, 6 stories to probably what would have been at least a broken back. I fell forwards through a patio window, for want of a better word, so something a bit similar to that there. And yeah, I'm not sure if you can see, but basically the glass went through this bit here, so this bit there, and came out on that top bit there, and then all the rest of it's just surgery. Now, you're probably sat there thinking, well, that's not really life-threatening. It is, when you think that the glass went straight through and straight out the other side. I went through every nerve and tendon in my arm, and I also went through the main artery that runs through your arm. So I lost 7 pints of blood in about 45 seconds, which is about the time it took Matt, the lad who was staying in the same hotel room as me, the time to get from where he was stood to me with a towel to tie a towel around my arm to try and cut off the blood circulation. Then went down to the hotel reception. Me, Matt and Dave, the 3 girls were around the pool, you know, doing what most people do when they're on holiday, catching a few rays. We got down to reception, obviously caused a bit of commotion because I was covered in blood. I think Matt and Dave were also covered in blood and shouting and swearing, trying to get the receptionist to call an ambulance. So yeah, sat on the floor in reception, and then Laura came in, managed to find the artery that I'd split in my armpit and stuck her finger in my armpit. So between her and Matt, they pretty much saved my life. So obviously, if it wasn't for them two, I wouldn't be sat here today. So, you know, I owe them everything. But anyway, so yeah, sat in the reception. Obviously, at the time, I can remember quite a lot of what happened. I can remember the receptionist saying, "It's all right, it's only a scratch, it's only a scratch." Then I could see him, because I was sat opposite a mirror, going and throwing up and shaking his head and just generally not really enjoying the situation. Ambulance came. Matt and Laura tried to get into the ambulance with me. Were obviously pushed out as soon as the pressure was released on my arm. Obviously started pouring with blood everywhere again. The paramedics' faces were a picture, needless to say. So I went to the nearby hospital and spent 2 hours having an operation to remove all the broken glass that was in my arm and repair the artery in my arm so that I could be transported to a hospital to the north of the island in Santa Cruz, which was a university hospital. And when I got there, I was basically rushed straight into operating theatre, and the next thing I know is it was a day later and I was in recovery and my arm was above my head in a sling. Spent 5 days there. Really struggled for them 5 days because I didn't know anyone. Like I say, I was in Tenerife. It was my first holiday without my parents, and I went and fell through a fucking window. So you could just imagine the trouble there. I refused to let my parents fly over, or my aunt, or anybody from my family, because I didn't actually believe it was as bad as what it was, because nobody spoke any English in the hospital, so I didn't really know what was going on. Got out of hospital and yeah, basically carried on with the holiday as normal. without really thinking too much about it until my medical records were translated from Spanish to English. Then the magnitude of what happened kind of set in as I was sat at Princess Royal Hospital to see a guy called Dr. Critchlow, who is actually a leg specialist, but there was actually nobody in the UK that actually, at that time, bearing in mind it was 13 years ago, that knew sort of much about arms and that sort of thing. The guy that done my surgery actually had to be flown in from Germany to perform the operation on my arm in Tenerife. So while I was doing the 2-hour drive in an ambulance to Santa Cruz, there was a guy being flown over from Germany to meet me at the hospital to perform the operation as soon as I arrived. So yeah, landed in the UK after the holiday, had the notes transferred, and then obviously was informed that your body holds about 9 pints of blood, and I'd lost 7. And in that first operation alone, that was 2 hours, I'd gone through 11 pints of blood and would use another further 6 or 7 pints in the second operation while they were performing the surgery to repair, obviously, the nerves, tendons, arteries, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, 13 years later, I still have issues with it now. I have no real sense of hot and cold. It's a lot better, but I can only feel sort of extremes in temperature, so extreme heat or extreme cold. So I tend to burn myself quite a lot when I'm cooking, which Jode always finds amusing. So yeah, physio took 6 months. So basically, when I came back, my arm was like this for about 3 weeks. It then took 6 months for me to just be able to perform this function here. That's before being able to move my fingers. Now, if you do that with your hand, that dexterity, so just your brain telling your little finger to touch your thumb, you can do it really easily. Look, I'm doing it with my left hand now, no issues whatsoever. Look, all works fine. This hand, I can go index finger, thumb, middle finger, thumb, and then obviously things start to, because I haven't got the movement in my hand, and then the little finger, I can't even, the best I can do is touch the bottom of the finger. So yeah, that's basically it really. I was 18 years old. I think it was a month before my 19th birthday, and yeah, probably to this day the thing that's had the biggest impact in my life. And it's still quite hard to talk about now because you don't really want to dwell on the past. You know, I almost died. It's not really something that you talk about quite openly in this sort of thing. But I do just want to say, you know, if it wasn't for Matt and Laura, I'd pretty much guarantee I wouldn't be here today. So I owe them everything. And I know my parents will always be extremely grateful for the fast action of the two of them to prevent me from losing any more blood, and for keeping me conscious while I was waiting for the ambulance, because all I wanted to do was go to sleep. So yeah, that's that. So back on with the day, and I'll return you to me completing my second call in Cannock. So second call done, slight change of plan. I ended up going to a job centre in Cannock. They'd broken the latch that holds the fuser, so replaced that. Customer's happy. I've now got another DWP in Walsall, where they're struggling to get a consumable out. So I'm on my way over to that shortly. I just need to go and get some diesel first. Third call done. DWP, jamming in the fuser area. Customer removed the jam previously and ripped off a sheet of paper, which was just causing paper not to feed past. So removed the paper and yeah, tested all okay. So just waiting for another call now. So probably going to have some lunch, go grab a coffee, and then see what else comes in for today. So yeah, I'm going to leave the vlog here for today. Kind of talking about that accident hasn't really put me in a good mood. Well, no, that's kind of wrong. I'm all right. Like I say, it happened 13 years ago. But yeah, got busy night planned. Jode's out the next couple of nights, so going to do some family time. So I'm going to go pick her up from work now, get this video online, and then that's it. Nothing else. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on all my other social media platforms. The link's in the description down below. And yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow.